Well, here's a few news articles that I thought were interesting. Um, let's see if this garbage is going to get in the way. All right, so people are complaining that the iPhone 15 is overheating. And the first article I read said they're blaming it on the new titanium back that doesn't conduct heat as well. But these guys say it's due to Instagram. And they say Instagram drains your battery too much when you're running it. And one guy says he actually got fired by the company because Instagram deliberately drew excess power to overheat the phone, and they fired him because he wouldn't go along with that. So that doesn't really make much sense to me. And anyway, we'll see if something comes of that. This is hard to believe, so I wouldn't take it too seriously unless we see more information coming out of here. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's just certain apps waste power more than others, although I know that is a much bigger problem on Android because Apple actually enforces some rules for app designers. Google just recommends them and then makes it difficult to comply, so people don't do it. So I've actually reported Android apps that consume incredible amounts of power for no reason and gotten them fixed, as I've reported an awful lot of Android vulnerabilities of other kinds. But since there is no virtual iPhone you can use, I have done much less of iPhone apps, although I've done some with the real iPhone. Now, Kaiser is going on strike next week. I had a doctor's appointment, and they called me and said, we better put it off because we'll be on strike. Apparently that is true. So I don't know what they're striking for, but anyway, they will be on strike. 75,000 healthcare employees next week. This is pretty amazing, kind of hard to believe. These guys took DNA and coated it with glass and created a very strong material. Glass at the micro scale is not easy to shatter and very strong, and DNA is very easy to grow to the specifications you want by controlling what you put in. So I was surprised by that. We'll see if they actually have a use for this stuff. I think things like carbon nanotubes and graphene will be even easier to make and have similar properties. But anyway, there may be special properties to this DNA stuff. And using DNA as a mechanical structure is kind of a new idea to me. So Elon Musk, in order to keep his stock price up, he has to do something to get in the headlines every couple of days. And so now he seems to be just blatantly imitating Donald Trump. You know, Donald Trump over the weekend said that he thought General Milley should be executed for treason for daring to criticize him. Although he didn't say he wanted to really do that. He said in an earlier age he would have been executed. But anyway, Elon Musk now says this supervisor should go to prison because this San Francisco supervisor is sponsoring a bill, along with several other supervisors, in response to a shooting. There was a guy shot in a commercial store a month or two ago, and they've decided now police cannot pull their weapon and threaten someone with their gun if they're just shoplifting. I think because shoplifting is not taken as a very serious crime, and they think they should only be pulling their gun if there's a life-threatening crime. But security guards are currently allowed to pull out weapons and threaten people, and a security guard killed somebody who was shoplifting. And so Dean Preston and these other supervisors think that that should be outlawed in San Francisco. Even private security guards should not be allowed to use deadly force or threaten deadly force against people who are shoplifting. And Elon Musk has decided he should go to prison for that. So this is his latest attempt to get on the in the headlines, and of course a ridiculous statement, but anyway, that's what he does. He's learned what Trump has learned, that you just say anything and the stupider it is, the more engagement you'll get. What do I think of de-Googled phones? Well, let me see if I can figure out anything about this article you've linked. A de-Googled phone. Well, there always has been the option to have phones without Google on them. I mean, if you make an Android, you can strip stuff out of the Android ecosystem, and if you strip enough out, then Google doesn't let you run their apps anymore. So let's see what these guys, surveillance devices, make technology that respects user privacy Well, sure. This is why a lot of people used to have custom ROMs for their Android phones, and so this looks like another one of these. So there's probably a variant of Android, a fully de-Googled mobile operating system. Yeah, yeah, you can do that. You can do that anytime. You could take a Android operating system and remove all the Google apps if you like. Yeah, and this looks like another alternative. Um, Probably worth keeping a news link about it. Yeah, might be interesting to compare. You know, there are hundreds of operating systems. Uh, they all have tiny user bases except for Unix, Linux, and Windows, but they are out there. And what a lot of people use is just modifications of Android. Since it's open source, you can do that. So this I thought was pretty hilarious. XIM mail servers. XIM is one of the common SMTP agents. They're all vulnerable to zero-day attacks. There is no patch, but they say there's a workaround. Just block internet traffic going to your mail server. And I was like, I wouldn't call that a workaround. That's just turning it off. You could just turn off your server, and that would stop the attacks too and accomplish exactly the same thing. And you certainly, of course, you do lose functionalities. If you remove all the Google services, you won't have any of them anymore, but you'll have the rest of the Android functionalities. You can totally do that. And if you buy cheaper Android phones, a lot of them do not have Google Play on them for this reason, because they have modified it too much and they're not meeting the security requirements and so on. You get the rest of the Android functionality, such as it is. I was amazed by this. Now, I don't know enough about the Chinese South China Morning Post. I don't know if they publish complete lies or not. But unless they're completely lying, China has got a really great thing here. And what is this garbage? Sign into something. Anyway, it's amazing how when I open these things in Opera, they all are popping up garbage on the screen that I don't get when I use a browser. Anyway, they've developed a better weight loss drug than the Ozempic that everybody in America is taking. This is not injected. You take it orally, and they claim you lose weight, and when you quit taking it, you don't gain the weight back, which is really important. So we'll see. But it's now entering phase 2 clinical trials. It sounds great, and of course, it has both enormous benefits for people that are overweight, which is like half of the whole human race, and also enormous economic benefits for China, because this is going to be the biggest medical boom in history, is selling everybody these weight loss drugs, and China will now get a large share of it if they really have a better drug. So, Rockchip's first and second generation RKNN with scikit-learn models. Well, I don't even know what's going on there. There are acronyms I don't understand. Let me see if I can understand any of this. An NPU, whatever that is. And they don't bother to define it, so I'm going to start by trying to figure out what an NPU is. Network processing unit. Neural processing unit. Never heard of it. Well, that's interesting. Neural processing units are designed for machine learning. Well, that's news to me. All I've heard is the tensor processing units. Okay. And so he bought an Orange Pi 5 Plus for an NPU. There's a neural processing unit on the Orange Pi, not Raspberry Pi. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Deploying scikit-learn models on computer neural networks. Oh. And then you got quantization, which is very good. Oh, well, this is very interesting. Let's see, in neural processing. Raspberry Pi still has no NPU. Yeah, I think the Raspberry Pi is for general purpose, not particular for machine learning. But that is indeed very interesting. Thank you for that article. I'm going to throw that on InfoSec Exchange also. That's very interesting. All right, good. And let's see, there was South China Morning Post has a lot of YouTube videos. Good to see what's going on. Yeah, I just wonder if it's true. You know, I don't know how much I should trust that as a news source. You can get them using an anonymous ID for Google Play. Yes, there are hacked versions of Google Play you can put on phones that don't support it too. That's another way to go. Yeah. Anyway, so there is supposedly a way for creators to opt out of being used to train AI. It's all pretty much a ripoff, though. For artists are very upset. You have to provide copies of every image and individually fill out a form for every single image you want to remove. And it's not going to remove it from any of the current models. It's just supposed to mean they won't use it on the next model. So we're just in the very beginning of the fight between content creators and all these machine learning models that use all this content without paying the creators. So we'll see what comes of that. But that's where the creators are going to try going for their money. There's several lawsuits in progress. We'll see how it turns out. And if you like podcasts, I highly recommend this one. This Byron Allen guy is very interesting to listen to. He's a black media mogul, and he's been suing companies to force them to invest in black sports and black media, and apparently making a pile of money and buying up stations. Anyway, he talks about his history and everything. He's a very fun guy to listen to, so I recommend the Pivot podcast has got this on there. It's from their code conference that just ended. So anyway, I'm going to stop with the news.